Hi there. In today's writing lesson, we are still looking at poetry. We are focusing specifically on idioms and hyperbole. So these are two different ways, or what we call figurative language, that can really engage and excite the people who are reading or listening to our awesome work. So, an idiom is an expression, and often idioms are famous sayings. So, we have sayings like, make sure you fill out all of your life goals before you kick the bucket. Kick the bucket is mostly used in Australia, and it means to die. Pushing up daisies, it also means to pass away. We also have things like, it's just water off a duck's back. It's a saying that you sometimes hear. Probably the one that you've heard, well, I can pretty much assure that you've definitely heard this one, is it's raining cats and dogs. So it's a very big saying that we've heard over and over again. So let's see. Oh, look, and my example here is it's raining cats and dogs. So are cats and dogs literally falling from the sky? Well, of course not. Idioms are those exaggerations to paint a picture in the reader's mind so they can vividly imagine it. So I want you to pause the video now, and I want you to write these two things. I want you to think of a silly saying that you've heard. So maybe it's and another word is colloquialism. So a saying or a colloquialism that you've heard in Australia. So write down one saying you've heard before, and then I want you to draw a picture, a funny picture of what it would actually look like. So if I was going to do it's raining cats and dogs, I'm going to draw a whole bunch of cats and dogs falling from the sky, and I'll have a big heading, it's raining cats and dogs. So pause video, give it a go, and then hit play, and you'll get to see what I've come up with. So I cheated a little bit here. I used Google to help me because I wasn't sure how good I could draw on my screen on my computer. I would have had a bit more fun on a piece of paper, I think. And I chose as cool as a cucumber. So hopefully you've heard that saying before, as cool as a cucumber. It just, I guess, means because cucumbers are nice and cool in the fridge maybe. But obviously it's actually not talking about your temperature, but how popular, how cool you are. So here's my picture of it literally being a cool cucumber. I'm guessing he's cool because he's got his shades on, and obviously it's a cucumber. I'd love to see your creations as well. Let's get into the next section. Let's learn a little bit about hyperbole. Okay, how about another one? So as we said, hyperbole. Sometimes when we read this word, we get a little confused. We think it's hyperbole. We pronounce it as hyperbole. You pronounce that E at the end, not a silent E. So hyperbole is just a big exaggeration, and it's to really add emphasis and really punch that point home. So a really popular example of hyperbole is when your mum or dad says, I've told you 1,000,000 times not to forget to do the dishes. Have they actually told you 1,000,000 times? Probably not. It is a big exaggeration to, again, really hit home the point that, hey, I've told you a lot. Now, how about you go and, again, pause the video and give it a go. So think of something that you have a strong feeling about, and then write a hyperbole of how you could describe that thing that you feel strongly about. So pause the video and then hit play and hear my example. So here's my example. I've got, ouch, my arm is killing me. Is my arm really killing me? It's not. I just bumped it. You know when you hurt your funny bone? So it's not killing me, but I'm exaggerating saying it hurts so bad it's as if I was dying right now. Big exaggeration, which is why we call it a hyperbole. The more we can include hyperboles and idioms in our writing, the more exciting and the more engaged our listeners and our readers are going to be. Okay, so we're going to read a poem now that uses especially a lot of idioms. Let's go through and see where we can find the idioms in this poem. The poem is called The Brave Babysitter and the Boys. You'll find it on page 9 in your poetry workbook. Not so very long ago, our parents went away to keep an eye on my brother and I. A sitter came to stay. Now let's not beat around the bush. We aren't a cup of tea. It's not always a piece of cake to look after my brother and me. So again, is there any sayings that you've heard before? Beat around the bush. That's a good Australian idiom, or the word I used before was colloquialism. And a piece of cake. So beating around the bush means let's not keep talking, let's get straight to the point. And a piece of cake means it's easy. We're certainly not a walk in the park. We aren't a bed of roses. We got 2 there. So, and you might find more like we aren't a cup of tea, I suppose, is an idiom, but I don't know how many times I've heard it being said in public before. So walk in the park means, again, easy, like a piece of cake. And we aren't a bed of roses, which means it's not always easy. So yeah, when you say something's not a bed of roses, you're saying it's sometimes hard, okay? Sometimes we do quite horrible things. I'll say it again. Sometimes we do quite horrible things right under people's noses. Are you literally doing it under someone's nose? No. It just means that you're doing it so close to them that they are probably going to find you out and realize what you're doing. We used every trick in the book that day. We were terribly, awfully bad. Every trick in the book just means you did everything. We drove that sitter right up the wall, and she got barking mad. Driving someone up the wall and going barking mad, going crazy. We're making them crazy and they're going crazy. Now look, you two, I've had enough. This is the final straw, meaning the last chance. You've pushed my buttons, and now I'm done. I can't take it anymore. So pushing my buttons means you're really annoying me. You have no spark of decency. I'm lost for words to say. No spark of decency meaning like they're not decent, or meaning like they're not very kind or polite people. If you keep ticking along like this, I'll have to call it a day. So ticking along, just like a clock ticks, it's constantly moving. If you keep going like this, and I'll have to call it a, meaning you're going to finish and quit. My brother looked across at me. We knew we'd been no good. At the drop of a hat, we changed our ways and started to act like we should. The babysitter was over the moon. She said we'd made her day. Better late than never, I guess. At least that's what they say. So drop of the hat meaning like you do it straight away. Over the moon means you're like super happy and excited. Better late than never. You've probably heard that one and even used it yourself. Great. In the next video, we'll go through the worksheet and explain another thing you can do. But excellent work today.